It's Ash from Imaginary Goddess. I'm back today with a deck profile. Today I'm going to be doing my own version of a Thavas pre-GBTO2 deck profile. So just kind of starting off right into it. My starter is Advanced Party Brave Shooter. He's one of those, if you boost, if you have an Aquaforce Vanguard, the number of tapped rear guards you have is 2 or less, he gets plus 3k. So basically, you put him on, make him, he's an 8k booster for like whatever one of your first few attackers or whatnot. So it's pretty interesting there. Also makes it so that he's typically not the Vanguard booster that you're going to use. In general, though, really, there's a lot of different choices that you can do. So that's my starter. And then moving into my triggers, I run of course, 4 draw triggers. This is I believe it's a Margle. Put this in soul, choose up to 1 Aquaforce, give a plus 3k on the turn. So it's pretty interesting. Good art too. I actually really wanted to use her in the Blue Storm deck, but Blue Storm has his own draw trigger, and some of those cards require Counterblast for Blue Storm, so I didn't really use it. So I'm pretty excited to be able to use her. So then I move straight into my Battle Siren Carolina. She is the new draw trigger from the new deck that just came out. So I mean, I don't think there's any draw triggers with effects, so it's not like there's much variety there. Just kind of pick your art, I guess. Then I run 6 stand triggers. This is the new stand, which is the generation break, ends of turn, or at the end of battle that this unit attack, choose one of your rear guards. You may exchange position with this unit. If you do, return this to your deck. So it's an interesting way to get it back inside the deck, and also gives you an extra attack, though the attack isn't much at all. Run 6 stands. I really like stands in general, so I'm really somewhat excited that this deck lets me use them. And finally, I run 2 crits. I probably should use the crit that actually has an ability, but right now this is just this one because I'm too lazy to look for the other one. Essentially, this is one of the new crits from the trial deck. So the reason you have crits in here, now I'm a big fan of a lot of stands and whatnot, but if you don't have crits, then there's not a threat of winning the game at 4 or even 3. So this is why you have the crits. Your opponent needs to, they need to know that there's a chance they could die if they take the damage of 4. And you don't want them to ever not have to take the damage of 4 and just be on hit effects. So that's kind of why crits are very important, and you'll most likely see them in most decks, honestly. So moving straight into the grade 1s, I run 4 Perfect Guards. This is the new Battle Siren Perfect Guard. It's not really doesn't really have an ability. I like Perfect Guards. I don't think I would run the Unflipper in this, but it's just guards from the trial deck. So then I run 4 Mercenary Brave Shooters. So these are the 10k attacker if it's the 2 or less tap cards. Again, really nice for rushing, and if you have stand triggers, then this guy can still swing for 10k again. So really depending on how many attacks you've done. But pretty interesting. The only true 10k attacker I believe they have is Blue Storm. So since this is not a Blue Storm deck, that's even better. I run 2 Penguins. These are the Soul Blast 2 draw card. I think they're pretty much staple in most Aquaforce decks. I've seen few decks not run them. It's a Vanguard booster for 5k, of course, generally, and then you get to draw a card. So it's a lot of necessary pluses that Aquaforce can really use. Then I run 2 Wheel Assaults. This is the Counterblast 1 and a bundle that this boosted Aqua Force. Well, actually, that this boost, if you have an Aqua Force Vanguard, you could pay the cost and then exchange 2 rear guard positions. Really, there's not much better choice. He's not necessary in this deck, but I have him there just for the options. Then I run, as my last grade 2, 2 of the Unlimiters. So this is the, if it's limit break 4, you can kind of lower it down. There is a limit break grade 3 in this deck. This isn't necessary. Again, these 4 here I feel could be anything. I just do it this way just because there's more variety. You know, for this, 8Ks if you want. Generally, you know, whatever works for you. So moving on to my grade 2s, I run 4 Tidal Assaults. This is basically the Basil. It's a 9K when it attacks, minus 5K, so it becomes a 4K, and stands. So it gives you an extra, it's 2 attacks essentially. And really, it can really screw with your opponent if you get to stand your booster and whatnot. It's pretty nice shenanigans with him, especially with stand triggers. So he's really awesome. Probably a staple in most Aqua Force decks, in my opinion. Then I run 4 Magnum Assaults. This is a G-Break 1. At the end of the battle, this attacks the Vanguard. If it was boosted, you can stand it, and it gets plus 2K. So it basically becomes an 11K attacker for the second hit. And if you have stand triggers, then you know you get even more shenanigans with that. Generally very good. And oh well, back to my grade 1s. I just realized. So the Generation Break limited units. There's also a 10K attacker for that, which you could put in. But generally, this is kind of a rush deck. So you want to. You're not going to really want to depend too much on your grade 3 lineup. Which, if it gets to it, they will help you out, but that's why I have Wheel Assault and whatnot in here. Then I run 3 Twin Brave Shooters, thinking of upping this to 4 and lowering one of my grade 1s. Basically, it's one of the 12K attackers if it's 2 or less rear guards tapped. So, pretty decent. It's like the 10K attacker I had earlier. And there is a Generation Break 1 12K attacker. Again, I think this is a lot better because this lets you rush. So moving into my grade 3s, I run 4 Thavas. He's a new grade 3. It's a when you stride basically. It gets when it attacks a Vanguard. If it's the 4th battle that turn, you can choose 3 of your opponent's rear guards, and your opponent has to choose one of them that dies. Then, if it attacks itself, Generation Break 2. If it's 4th attack or more, it gets plus 1 crit, and your opponents can't call grade 0s. So, kind of a pretty decent Silent Tom-ish effect on there too, which makes them pretty good. Then I run 4 Tetra Bursts. Honestly, this could be anything. I put Tetra Burst because this Thavas and Thavas, I believe is what it's called. Thavas and Tetra Burst are both kind of a have a 4th turn ability. So, well, a 4 more-ish turn ability. This, if you were riding this though, this would be usually your second. This would be your second attack, and just, a stand unit is pretty nice. Like, some pretty nice things with that. In general, though, with Generation Break, you're not really going to be depending too much on your grade 3s. So let me go into the grade 4s. So Aqua Force is pretty limited right now. You're going to be running 4 of the Tidal Boar Dragons, and if it's the 3rd turn or 3rd battle, draw a card and you can call a card a rear guard. So since it has basically you get 4 cards because it's a triple drive, you do have a potential to get more cards out that are pretty interesting. So could potentially mean more attacks, and there's been pretty nice shenanigans that I've done with it, and especially if you don't have a full field. For those clans that like to really pick out your field, pulling out some nasty cards there could really potentially turn off the game. Then I run 4 Atmos. I think Atmos is probably one of the best generic strides we have, at least right now. So Counterblast for 1 plus 10k. If you don't really have anything that you want to spend a Counterblast on, you're going to be, it gets, unless you swing for essentially 36. And, worst case, you burn a perfect shield. Well, worst case, you want to burn perfect shields or burn cards in their hand. Best case, it could cause you to win the game just because you make them force more guard from it. So, in general, pretty interesting deck. I've had fairly decent success with it. I've been thinking about moving the starter around. It could be Eric or whatever. This is what I have for now. The new trial deck starter is good, I believe, but because he's a GB1, he's kind of really limited. So it's not something I would openly recommend. Aquaforce, a lot of its strength, I believe, is really in early game rushing, or at least putting your opponent into a really dangerous situation early on. So it's more of an early game oriented deck, in my opinion, than a lot of other clans. So this has been Ash from Edge and Goddess. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.